Here's why jewelry will still be made with gold, platinum, and silver for the next 1,000 years. This is a great question. Why don't we just make jewelry in stainless steel or cobalt or titanium or another material that's much harder? We just spoke about this week, Kelty Knight losing a 4-carat diamond ring would pop out and it crushed me. Why wouldn't we just make her ring in stainless steel and we would never have that problem? Hi, if you don't know me, I'm John Paul. I do high and fine jewelry design. I specialize in engagement rings, and I have a background in engineering. I worked as an R&D engineer for many, many years, developing alloys and testing new materials. Gold, silver, platinum, the precious metal group have one unique quality that other metals do not. They are very malleable. You can bend gold and platinum back and forth multiple times and it does not break. Eventually it might, but steel, stainless steel, titanium, any other metal, unique and incredibly tough and strong and far superior to gold and platinum, unfortunately will break when you bend it. The problem with that is that it makes it difficult to fabricate the jewelry itself. To make the ring, it makes it very hard. To set the gemstones we want also makes it very hard. Titanium is one of those hybrid exceptions. You can make jewelry in titanium. My engagement ring is made in titanium. The outside is titanium and the setting is in platinum. But stainless steel, titanium, tungsten, tungsten carbide, any of these other alloys, with the exception of cobalt, they don't really cast well. Cobalt does cast well and it is biocompatible, but such a tough metal that is not very malleable, it makes it very difficult to set stones into it. Whereas with cobalt, you could cast a beautiful shape engagement ring, you could file it, although it would be very difficult and you would blunt your files very quickly. You could possibly set a gemstone in it. The work, labor, energy to do it, the final polished ring is just never going to be as nice as a gold or platinum ring. It may be much harder, but has less flexibility in design. It's also something that you can't resize. If your finger swells up, it's one of those things that are difficult to cut off. Not that that's the end and be all of materials to use. A lot of people use titanium and has that issues. Titanium you can't really resize either. Titanium can also be combustible when you put a torch to it. Gold, platinum, silver, you can heat them close to a red or glowing hot and you can readjust components, you can make repairs, and you can anneal the material. But you can't do that with steel. Furthermore, if you were to bezel set a stone, if you weren't super careful with steel or harder materials, you would break the setting on the stone. You might damage the stone with the material. You might crack the stone. And even if you did make a stainless steel ring or a tall steel ring, it's not as biocompatible as platinum and gold. Even if it is a medical grade stainless steel, it's also not going to polish as beautifully. It's going to be harder to repair. You also can't resize it. The beauty of gold and silver is you can use solder to construct your design and add components to it, where you can't really do that with stainless steels. Out of all the options we have, you have to machine, and usually it's machined green in a non-solidified state, in like a powder form, and then you heat it and then it turns into a solid block. All of the other alternative materials have limitations that don't effectively allow you to make jewelry. That's why they only really have a place in specific groups. Tungsten carbide, usually you just see round tungsten carbide bands because it's hard to design shapes and you can't cast tungsten carbide. You can't set stones effectively into it. Titanium is a unique exception where you can do a lot of these things. You will see titanium jewelry. I make titanium jewelry. It's a fabulous material, but it doesn't have great application for many aspects of jewelry. It doesn't make great engagement rings depending on the design. It's not something you can resize. It's difficult to cast titanium, so it's very labor intensive to shape it. In a perfect world, titanium is a very acceptable alternative to precious metals, but it has major drawbacks in fabricating it. All the metals that you could use are either too hard to work with, not compatible for stone setting, or not biocompatible. That is the inside scoop on all of the other ideas you may have thought of. And the engineer inside me, just like the person asking this question, which I love, has often thought, why not just reinvent the wheel and make jewelry out of other materials that we haven't even thought of? Tantalum, niobium, all of these interesting and wild materials just never have the compatibility to make beautiful jewelry, to set beautiful stones, wear on your finger, or resize as jewelry passes down the generations. That is why fine jewelry will still be made in 18 karat gold, platinum, and silver for the next 1,000 years.